The traditional retirement age in India is 60. For decades, we've accepted this as the only path. Work for 35 years, retire, and then enjoy the twilight of our lives. But what if I told you that you could retire 15 years earlier, at the age of 45, while you're still in the prime of your life? After 20 years as a technologist and architect, I took early retirement. Today, I help others plan their journey to financial independence. Here's the roadmap to retiring by 45. Early retirement can happen at any age before 60. But 40 is the sweet spot. Think about it. In your 40s, you are in the prime of your life. You have the wisdom of experience, physical capability, and mental sharpness. You can travel, pursue passions, and truly live. After 50, health issues start creeping in. And here's another reality, with 25 years of experience, your salary becomes expensive. Organizations find it more economical to hire younger talent at a fraction of the cost. The corporate world values experience, but it's not common to find people with 25 years in the industry at the same level. Those who stay are often those who don't seek growth. Retirement isn't about stopping work. It's about having the freedom to choose. The financial independence, retire early movement, or FIRE, is about building a corpus so that your money works for you. You don't need to be ultra-rich. You need a plan, discipline, and consistency. Let's break this down step by step. The journey to retirement at 45 starts with a single question: how much do you actually need? Step 1. Start early. The best time to start planning for early retirement is immediately after you turn 30. Why? Because compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. If you start investing 25,000 rupees monthly at age 30 and earn 12% annually, you'll accumulate about 1.25 crore rupees by age 45. If you wait until age 35, you'll have only about 57.5 lakh rupees. Delaying by 5 years reduces your final corpus by roughly 54%. Step 2. List down your monthly and yearly expenses. Be honest. Include everything: rent, groceries, utilities, insurance, travel, entertainment, and MS. Let's take an example. Suppose your annual expense today is 12 lakh rupees. This is your baseline. Now, multiply this number by 25, 35, or 45, depending on how you want to live. 25 times gives you lean FIRE, which is a minimalist lifestyle with just the basics. 35 times is a comfortable FIRE, that is enough for a good middle-class life. 45 times is fat FIRE, that is a luxurious retirement with international travel and premium services. Step 3. List down all your future goals, their target dates, and the required corpus. But here's the critical part. Different goals have different inflation rates. Education inflation in India runs at 10% per year. Medical inflation is similarly around 10 to 14%. General inflation hovers around 7%. But inflation for something like a new vehicle is lower, around 5%. You can't use a single inflation number for everything. That's a common mistake that derails retirement plans. Let me show you how this works with real numbers. Your child's education costs 20 lakh rupees today. With 10% education inflation, in 10 years, it will cost 51.8 lakh rupees. That's over 2.5 times the current cost. For a 10 lakh rupees car today, with 5% inflation, in 10 years, it will cost 16.3 lakh rupees. See the difference? That's why you need to calculate each goal separately. The formula is simple. Future value equals present value times 1 inflation rate, caret number of years. Here's the math every early retiree must understand. If you need 15 lakh rupees annually at retirement, that's your baseline. But after 10 years of 7% inflation, that 15 lakh rupees becomes 29.5 lakh rupees. And after 20 years, it's 58 lakh rupees. This is why financial advisors recommend the 25x, 35x, or 45x rule. For someone with 12 lakh rupees annual expenses, the required retirement corpus ranges from 3 crore rupees for lean FIRE to 5.4 crore rupees for fat FIRE. But remember, these numbers are in today's value. By the time you actually retire, inflation will have pushed these numbers higher. Step 5. Assign fund categories to each goal based on your time horizon. Short-term goals, those less than 5 years away, should go into debt or liquid funds. Think of this as your safety net. Medium-term goals, 5 to 10 years away, can go into hybrid funds. And long-term goals, 10 years away, should be in equity funds. But here's the catch. Goal importance matters. For crucial goals like your child's education, even if it's 10 years away, consider debt or hybrid funds. Invest in equity for important goals only if the goal is more than 15 years away so it can absorb the volatility. Let me be blunt. Over-diversification kills returns. I see portfolios with 20 to 30 different mutual funds, each doing essentially the same thing. This over-diversification ensures you get average returns at best. A focused portfolio of 5 to 8 quality funds will outperform a scattered one every single time. Remember, when you are in your 30s and 40s, you have 15 to 20 years for your investments to grow. That's plenty of time to recover from market volatility. The secret? Stay invested, and don't try to time the market. I can't emphasize this enough. Time in the market generates more returns than timing the market. The S&P 500, over its history, has delivered around 6.7% inflation-adjusted returns. Indian equity has delivered even higher at 12 to 14% nominal returns. But here's the key, you can't predict when the market will drop or rise. I've seen people pull out their money during crashes, only to miss the recovery. The bucket strategy solves this. Keep 4 to 5 years of expenses in liquid funds. When the market crashes, you don't sell. You live off your bucket. When the market recovers, and it always does, you replenish. Step 6. Add up the corpus needed for each goal. First, calculate the corpus needed today for each goal. Then, calculate the inflation-adjusted corpus at the goal year. Add everything together. This total is what you need at retirement. Let's be real. For most urban families with annual expenses between rupees 12 to 20 lakhs, the required corpus falls in the rupees 4 to 8 crore range. It sounds daunting, but remember, you are building this over 15 to 20 years. And with the power of compounding and consistent investing, it's absolutely achievable. Once you've retired at 45, the bucket strategy is your best friend. Here's how it works. Bucket 1 is your cash bucket with 4 to 5 years of expenses parked in debt or liquid funds. Bucket 2 is your hybrid bucket and holds expenses from 5 to 10 years. Bucket 3 is your equity bucket and holds the remaining corpus needed after 10 years for long-term growth. When the market is down, you draw from bucket 1. When the market is up, you replenish bucket 1 from bucket 2, and bucket 2 from bucket 3. This protects you from sequence of returns risk, that is the danger of selling equities during a downturn early in retirement. Let's talk about why a 35x corpus works for early retirement in India. The traditional 25x rule was designed for a 30-year retirement in the US with 2 to 3% inflation. India's inflation is higher at 5 to 6%, and you're retiring at 45, not 60. That means your money needs to last 35 to 40 years. A 35x corpus gives you a 2.85% withdrawal rate, which is safer than the 4% rule. But here's the key, you need equity exposure even in retirement. Why? Because your equity portfolio's growth will fund your retirement beyond those 35 years. You are not spending down your corpus, you are living off the returns. There's one silent killer of early retirement plans that I need to address. Healthcare. In India, healthcare inflation runs at 10 to 14% annually. A health insurance premium of 30,000 rupees today could be 1.5 lakh rupees in 15 years. A cardiac procedure costing 5 lakh rupees today could be 20 lakh rupees in 2 decades. This is why I recommend setting aside a dedicated medical reserve of rupees 20 to 50 lakhs on top of your regular corpus. And here's the key, lock in your health insurance in your late 30s, before you retire. It's cheaper and has broader coverage. So what are the key takeaways from this entire guide? 1. Start immediately after 30. Every year of delay costs you significantly. 2. Calculate your retirement corpus honestly, factoring in different inflation rates for different goals. 3. Assign the right fund categories based on time horizon and goal importance. 4. Use the bucket strategy to protect against sequence of returns risk. 5. Never underestimate healthcare costs. And 6. Remember, time in the market beats timing the market. Stay invested, stay disciplined, and let compounding do the heavy lifting. Here's a question for you. Have you planned for building wealth over a duration, or have you over-diversified your investments, thinking you're being safe? I see this all the time. People holding 20 to 30 funds, each with tiny allocations, getting diluted returns. They're safer in theory but poorer in reality. Early retirement requires conviction. It requires focus. It requires you to trust the process and stay invested through market cycles. If you're holding too many funds, you're not protecting yourself, you're just guaranteeing average returns. Planning for early retirement isn't complicated, but it requires a clear strategy and regular review. I'm offering a free portfolio review for anyone serious about retiring early. No strings attached. I want to help you find the leaks in your plan, the over-diversified areas, and the gaps in your inflation calculations. Because I've been where you are, and I've retired early. I know it's possible. The question is, are you ready to make it happen? If you found this guide valuable, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Remember, retirement at 45 isn't a dream. It's a plan. And with the right strategy, it's absolutely achievable. I'll see you in the next video.